I'm not a fan of hers at all, and I think she's very disrespectful to the Queen that we just spoke about, who's such a great woman, who's such a great person.
I've never really been a fan of hers. To me, she comes across as quite disrespectful, especially toward the Queen we just talked about, a woman of remarkable dignity and kindness, someone truly deserving of respect and admiration. Despite all that, it feels like Meghan shows little regard for those unspoken rules and traditions that come with the role. It seems her priorities have shifted completely, and now it's clear she's primarily focused on one thing: securing financial independence and survival outside the royal spotlight. Picture this early moment during one of their very first official royal engagements together. The Queen, with her characteristic grace and generosity, extended a special invitation for Meghan to accompany her aboard the iconic royal train, a rare and genuine gesture of warmth from a woman who never has to prove anything to anyone. It was an opportunity for inclusion, a subtle but meaningful way to welcome Meghan into the fold. Yet,
now I'm starting to realize this is a big deal. I mean, Americans will understand this. We have medieval times, dinner and tournament. It was like that. Like, I curtsied as though I was like, pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Like, was that okay?
when the event wrapped up and it was time to leave, something caught people's attention. Meghan unexpectedly strode ahead of the Queen, stepping into the vehicle first. Now, to many onlookers who don't know royal customs, this might seem trivial, a mere detail lost in the shuffle of events. But in the world of royal protocol, this moment speaks volumes. It breaks a fundamental rule. No one, literally no one, is supposed to walk ahead of the monarch, no matter who they are. This unwritten code exists not just out of tradition, but out of profound respect for the crown and everything it symbolizes. And yet, here was Meghan, crossing a subtle line that many saw as a sign of shifting loyalties and changing priorities. Let's dive into one of the most sacred and deeply ingrained principles of royal life, the unspoken yet ironclad rules of royal etiquette. These guidelines aren't just old-fashioned formalities, they're the very foundation that keeps the centuries-old institution running smoothly. Imagine stepping into this world as an outsider. The pressure to conform is immense. Yet, in one of Meghan's very first public appearances as part of the royal family, she unintentionally, or perhaps deliberately, broke one of these key unwritten rules. Was it simply a case of not fully understanding the weight of tradition, or was it a bold choice to ignore it? Only Meghan truly knows. However,
that the late Queen told aides after the Sussexes, that's Meghan and Harry, chose the name Lilibet for their daughter. I don't own the palaces or the paintings, only my name. And now they've taken that.
I know that's an incredibly sad comment. And I think one of the reasons was that it was discovered that Meghan, even before Lilibet was born, had taken out the names officially so that she could use them to buy things, to identify them.
The impact was clear. The gesture sent shockwaves through the palace corridors and beyond, leaving a bitter aftertaste for those who hold the monarchy's customs close to heart. Now, it's important to emphasize just how monumental the upcoming wedding was. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's union wasn't just a personal milestone, it was a grand royal event that commanded immense resources and attention. The institution itself poured enormous funds into the celebration, a clear sign of support and commitment to the future of the monarchy. Yet, in a surprising twist, Meghan chose not to share one crucial piece of that moment, the preview of her wedding dress with the Queen. This was no trivial oversight. For generations, it has been a cherished royal tradition, a sign of respect and unity, for the bride to personally show the Queen her gown before the wedding day. This simple act carries layers of significance, symbolizing trust, respect, and inclusion. Elizabeth Anson, who happens to be a cousin close to the Queen.
Meghan Markle, she's sparked more outrage after publishing a message addressing herself as Your Royal Highness, despite her and Harry having agreed to stop using their royal titles after they quit the royal family and left the United Kingdom. What's going on here? You can't have these titles if you're not going to put in the work, if you're not going to be a working royal.
later revealed these details to Sally Bedell Smith, a respected royal biographer. The story caught many off guard. Reportedly, Queen Elizabeth, who was not only deeply involved, but also personally financed much of the wedding, felt a quiet sadness and growing anxiety in the run-up to the ceremony. This wasn't the usual pre-wedding nerviness, this was something else entirely, a pang of disappointment that echoed through the palace's hallowed halls, casting a shadow over what was meant to be a joyous occasion. The pain wasn't just about excitement or anticipation, it ran much deeper. Imagine the hurt of a grandmother whose grandson is about to marry, yet the bride can't show even the smallest sign of respect toward her. Think about it, spending someone else's money to host your wedding, yet refusing to share something as simple as your dress with that same family. Meghan was the only one who got the privilege. And the story takes an even darker turn because even after Queen Elizabeth's passing, the respect Meghan owed remained sadly absent. Fast forward to the second anniversary of Queen Elizabeth's death in 2024. Across the globe, the royal family was coming together quietly.
Harry and Meghan are the new Fergie and Andrew. They cheapen the crown. The only thing HRH stands for in association with Meghan Markle is her ruthless homewreckerness, I guess, but I do not think that Meghan Markle should be utilizing the title. I think that this is just her way of trying to remind the world that she, for 18 months, was a royal.
Wrapped in deep solemnity and heartfelt reflection, the world paused to remember a monarch whose reign shaped history in profound ways. But Meghan? She was somewhere else, entirely turning heads and making waves, attending an Oprah book club event. While the palace rooms were shrouded in mourning and memories, Meghan was smiling brightly, engaging in lively conversation, and seizing headlines for herself on a day that was meant to be about honoring a legacy, not creating more distractions. No nod to the anniversary, no thoughtful pause, no humble recognition of the woman who had welcomed her into the family, just Meghan doing what she's known for best, turning even the most solemn occasions into a spotlight for herself. This is the moment when it felt like the divide was impossible to bridge. A family in quiet reverence. And one person standing apart, each of her actions fueling headlines, stirring emotions, and reminding everyone that respect and remembrance weren't always on the same page. Everyone admired the Queen, but Meghan's choices continued to spark conversation and controversy, turning shared grief into personal narratives. The Queen was widely admired and deeply respected by many, but to Meghan, she appeared to be just another older woman. Someone advanced in years and someone whose opinions and authority she seemed reluctant to honor or take seriously. This perception was clear in how Meghan handled key moments leading up to her wedding with Prince Harry. For instance, when tensions flared between Meghan and her father, Thomas Markle, the Queen sought to step in with compassion and grace. Recognizing the delicate nature of family conflicts that could impact the royal image, she even instructed palace courtiers to quietly help mediate and ease the situation behind the scenes. However, instead of hearing a hopeful or cooperative response, the Queen received an unexpected message directly from Meghan herself.
But in a new interview with the Sunday Times, Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, recalls trying to help Meghan navigate her public struggle with the royal family. She tells the outlet, quote, "We all try to help any new member of the family."
Meghan firmly stated that she did not want any intervention from the palace in her personal family matters. She insisted she could manage the fallout with her father on her own terms, without any royal assistance. This rejection wasn't just a polite decline, it felt like a sharp dismissal of the palace's efforts and goodwill. The courtiers' attempts were completely sidelined, and Meghan chose not to engage at all with the support being offered, which must have been frustrating and somewhat shocking to the Queen. But perhaps the most striking example of Meghan's stance happened shortly after she stepped into royal life. Fully aware that Meghan was new to the intricate protocols, traditions, and expectations that come with being a member of the royal family, the Queen personally extended an olive branch. She offered Meghan thoughtful, direct guidance to help navigate the many challenges and responsibilities ahead.
And I know I haven't always gotten it right, but as far as this goes, there really was no other option.
They both lose their official links to the Queen's Commonwealth Trust and the Association of Commonwealth Universities. Meghan will no longer be patron of the Royal National Theatre.
Yet, even this generous and carefully considered gesture was met with resistance, highlighting a pattern of boundary pushing and a reluctance to fully embrace the royal framework. The Queen, ever the gracious host and seasoned monarch, made genuine efforts to help Meghan feel at home, going above and beyond in her quiet, royal way to extend warmth and acceptance. But Meghan, it seemed, was completely unmoved. She declined the help with a firm resolve, clearly signaling she neither wanted nor needed it, swiftly moving on without looking back. This reaction reportedly left the Queen stunned, caught off guard in a way she hadn't expected. Those close to the palace say Her Majesty couldn't help but think of Sophie, the Countess of Wessex, who consistently welcomed and embraced every piece of advice and guidance handed to her without hesitation or complaint. Here were two women, both part of the same royal family, yet their paths and relationships with the Queen couldn't have been more different.
She's released a candle. I'm sure you will be glad to hear it. It's going for 48 quid, or that's 96 Australian dollars, if you can bear to punt up your money for it.
One had earned the monarch's deepest trust through her openness and humility. The other had, in many ways, dismissed that trust outright. This stark contrast wasn't just a minor difference, it was a seismic rift, one of the most dramatic revelations insiders have shared from behind palace walls. Then came the ultimate shockwave. News broke that Meghan and Harry had decided to step back from their roles as senior royals, but the way it happened left the Queen completely blindsided. There was no private conversation, no chance to share the decision respectfully, just a surprise announcement posted on Instagram for the entire world to witness and dissect. For a monarch who cherished discretion, respect, and the preservation of tradition above all else, this public move felt like a profound betrayal. According to insiders, the Queen wasn't even given the courtesy of advance notice before the announcement went live, leaving her and the entire royal household reeling in the aftermath. When the public announcement dropped, it sent shockwaves through the royal family, leaving Smith reportedly shaken and deeply disappointed. But the Queen, embodying not only her role as monarch but also as a mother, desperate to keep her family united, stepped up immediately. She called for an urgent, high-stakes family meeting, a crisis-level summit involving Charles, William, and Harry, aimed at ironing out the complex details of Megxit, hoping to find a way to prevent the family's irreversible split. Now, here's where things take a dramatic turn. At a moment when every second counted and emotions were running high, Meghan made a surprising choice. Instead of showing up in person to be part of this pivotal discussion, she decided to dial in remotely. Think about that. With the entire royal inner circle gathered under one roof, ready to tackle the most sensitive family crisis of the decade, she chose the more convenient route of a phone call. If that doesn't come across as a subtle form of disregard, what does? The Queen had summoned this critical summit hoping for unity and collaboration, but Meghan shrugged it off, as if her presence wasn't necessary. That decision spoke volumes. It immediately became clear she had already made up her mind about where she stood, signaling a turning point in this deeply personal and historic saga. The Queen was resolute if someone was going to leave. It would be on her terms, and she made it clear she wouldn't tolerate anyone disrupting long-standing traditions. The Christmas season was sacred to her, a time she cherished deeply, surrounded by family at Sandringham, her cherished Norfolk estate. No one, not even Meghan, was going to take that away. There was one rule without exception: the entire family gathered at Sandringham for the holidays. But Harry and Meghan quietly broke with this royal custom more than once, shaking the foundation of tradition that held the family together. In 2019, instead of joining the Queen for Christmas at Sandringham, the couple chose to spend a private holiday in Canada with baby Archie, a decision that sent ripples through the palace. Meghan seemed not to consider how deeply this might wound the Queen, the matriarch who held family unity during the holidays as sacred. Despite any concerns, they went ahead with the trip, leaving Sandringham behind. The royal family, ever mindful of public perception, quickly crafted a polite statement about Harry and Meghan enjoying family time elsewhere, but behind the polished facade, disappointment and tension simmered. This move didn't just raise eyebrows, it was seen as a glaring breach of royal etiquette. Skipping Sandringham was almost unheard of, unless there was an urgent illness or an important royal engagement. The absence of Meghan, the newest member of the family, only intensified whispers behind palace walls and in the media. It was interpreted by many as a sign of disrespect, a subtle but unmistakable departure from the tightly knit rituals that had held the Windsor family together for generations. This choice set the stage for deeper divisions and foreshadowed the growing rift that would soon come into full view. There were whispers swirling throughout the palace corridors that she simply refused to play by the Queen's carefully crafted rules. Some of the courtiers even speculated that this wasn't just a casual oversight, it felt more like a subtle act of defiance, a quiet pushback against the royal expectations. She chose to skip the Queen's most cherished family tradition, a sacred Christmas gathering, all in favor of carving out their own path and claiming a sense of freedom that seemed more precious to them than royal protocol. Now, setting aside the grandeur of royalty for a moment, doesn't it just boil down to basic human instinct? Christmas is meant to be spent surrounded by grandparents, parents, cousins, the people who make up your family. Yet, shockingly, after his marriage, Harry didn't celebrate a single Christmas with the Queen. Fast forward to the day of Princess Eugenie's wedding to Jack Brooksbank, a day filled with joy, tradition, and regal pomp. When the ceremony concluded inside St. George's Chapel, Queen Elizabeth naturally took the lead, gracefully guiding the royal family out to bid farewell to the newlyweds. Following her lead like a well-rehearsed dance, the family members moved down the chapel steps in perfect order, each step reflecting centuries of customs and respect. But then there was Harry and Meghan standing apart, quite literally rewriting the script. Rather than respectfully falling in line behind the Queen, they lingered close to her side, clearly positioning themselves for the waiting photographers, desperate to be seen in her company. The Queen, ever the diplomat, politely asked them to move down the line, but they chose to ignore the gentle nudge, holding their ground with a deliberate intent that did not go unnoticed. They stood frozen, refusing to move, pretending to scan the crowd for the carriage that was already nearby. The Queen's voice broke through again, calm but insistent, asking a second time for them to step aside. Harry leaned in, whispering to Meghan that they really should comply, but instead of moving fully, they barely shifted a single hesitant step and consciously ignored the clear royal instruction. By the time the Queen made her third request, her patience was wearing dangerously thin. With unmistakable authority, she firmly ordered Harry and Meghan to move aside immediately. Only then did they begrudgingly shuffle down the line, visibly uncomfortable. Meghan's face betrayed her frustration, her eyes glistening as if she was biting back tears. But the moment was a stark reminder that royal protocol isn't optional, especially when directly requested by the monarch. Both Harry and Meghan should have understood that the Queen's authority shouldn't need repeating more than once. This episode, in many people's eyes, crossed a line into blatant disrespect. Fast forward to the 21st of April 2026, the day the world collectively paused to celebrate what would have been Queen Elizabeth's monumental 100th birthday. King Charles led the solemn yet celebratory tributes to his beloved mother. Senior members of the royal family unveiled specially minted commemorative coins honoring her legacy, and amidst the formal ceremonies, Meghan. In a move that caught everyone's attention, Meghan launched 2 candles priced at $64 each, proudly named after her children, each candle bearing their full royal titles. But here's where it gets truly intriguing. Meghan named her daughter Lilibet. Now, Lilibet isn't just any name, it's the cherished, intimate nickname Queen Elizabeth II had been called since she was a little girl. The weight and history behind that name run deep, and many quickly suspected this wasn't a simple choice. Then, to add another layer, Meghan released a candle named Lilibet on the Queen's milestone 100th birthday. The timing was uncanny. Was it a heartfelt homage or something more deliberate? Online communities didn't hold back. Some called it a calculated move, even going as far as labeling it psychopathic. One Reddit user bluntly claimed, "This is 100% a way to troll the royal family on their matriarch's birthday." The suggestion being Meghan wasn't focused on whether these candles sold at all, it was more about the message. And honestly, when you look closely at the timing and context, it's tough to argue otherwise. So there you have it. These moments capture 13 bold instances where Meghan Markle seemingly publicly challenged and disrespected Queen Elizabeth II. Each one fueled debate, questioned intentions, and stirred royal watchers around the world. Now, it's your turn. Which of these moments struck you as the most significant? Which do you think sent the strongest message? We want to hear your take in the comments below. Let's get the conversation started. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button, share this video with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for many more deep dives like this. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.